Hello everyone and welcome to the hills of Austria here at the Red Bull Ring for what promises to be an absolute classic in the AOR PS4 F1 Championship sponsored by Hype Energy. Joining me in the commentary box this week, once again, Mr. Joseph Willows. And last week, Joe, we saw an absolute classic that really threw a spanner, not just into a race overall, but a championship spanner in the works.
Absolutely, indeed. It was possibly one of the best battles we've probably seen on track, that four-way scrap for second place. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the Austrian mountains here at the Styrian region of Austria for the Red Bull Ring at Spielberg. And as you mentioned, hopefully it promises to be a very exciting race, of course. It's obviously the shortest track on the calendar in terms of lap times, but don't discount it as possibly, hopefully, another great race indeed, because it is still a great challenge nonetheless for these drivers.
Yeah, overtaking opportunities pretty much at every corner, maybe bar the final two corners. A few things to note for you. There were penalties dished out last week. Flores did have one of them. It was a topic of controversy throughout social media in the chat, but he's not here to serve it, but he does have a qualifying ban after that. Yeah, as you mentioned, shortest time on a single lap. That's going to be a really interesting one. These guys are coming out onto the Ultra Softs, which is going to be the tyre of choice in qualifying. Everyone is probably going to be on Ultra Softs. Everyone goes on Super Softs. They're a bit stupid, I'd say. It's a simple one-stop. Lap 10 to 13 is when we're predicting a pit stop. Drama, of course, last week in two senses as well. Synthetic was almost let through at one point, one of the best overtakes we've seen all season so far, and as well some inter-team drama between Curly Whirly and Ollie D, the defending champion. Curly not letting his teammate through, where Ollie felt like he should have let him through considering his situation battling Synthetic in the championship, just 34 points separating them. A few choice words were said. I've spoken to them both privately, and Ollie was understandably very annoyed and thought maybe Curly could have let him through, been a team player, fought the team, and Curly, you know, as a driver, is very, very selfish. So interesting to see how that dynamic continues. Maybe that might have just burned some bridges for them two in the championship battle, which they are enthralled in at the moment with Williams.
Definitely tension, you must be said, at Mercedes. We did question, obviously, last week, of course, about whether Curly Whirly should have let Ollie D through. And we obviously talked to them after the race, of course, during the post-race press conference. And there was arguments on either side. You could argue as well that Curly Whirly was obviously trying to ensure that he could defend his own battle in the championship, but at the same time also trying to ensure they could stay ahead because it wasn't really possible to let Ollie D through due to the amount of cars that were behind him. But at the same time, you could understand how Ollie D was frustrated now that as a result it's allowed, of course, his main rival Synthetic to increase the lead in the championship. But Davidos sets an early time with a 1 minute 6.016.
Yeah, them times are going to slowly come down. Gemzo improves. Synthetic goes into second. Quite tight times at the moment as they all set an early banker lap, as you'll see. That was quite a prime thing we saw at Singapore, everyone getting an early banker lap. So these will probably not be the quickest times into the Red Bull, who's doing a good job up there. He's on top, and his VGIA Compadre Falcon, he has moved up into second position. In the championship, we've got to mention it, it's 34 points separating Synthetic, who leads from Ollie D in second position. A side note to note, of course, though, is the fact that Ollie has confirmed and said multiple times since the start of the season he will not be attending the finale in Brazil, meaning that today, if a point swing happens, there is potential for Synthetic to wrap up the championship at Japan and push. Got a little bit of damage there after riding on the curbs, but yeah, so Synthetic can have a potential of wrapping up the championship in Japan. Points-wise, it will not be wrapped up, but it will all be done as Ollie will not be attending Brazil, which is a shame for the championship. Another quick note as well. I have spoken to a few drivers in F1 and in F2, and they have all told me they've been informed that they have to take the appropriate pit lane entry. So we will keep an eye on that because that will be a reprimand after the Grand Prix, which will be on stream as well. So a few rules to go around here. Races where guys would kind of, you know, go into that pit lane, so that will be interesting to see what happens. But early signs has been set, and Nardiex is on top from Gemzo and Michael. As seems like Joe has gone to go do something, so we'll quickly have a look.
Sorry, you just actually cut out from my end, so I do apologise for that. But what were you saying again just before we had that little blip?
I'm not too sure where it was, but to enter the pit lane, going through the appropriate pit lane entry. They will pull the throughout the Grand Prix. If they do not take the appropriate lines, then there is potential mud after the Grand Prix.
Like in real life then, really, because we obviously see that in real life, of course, where they have to take an appropriate line. But then sometimes, if you think about it, it can be a little bit dangerous as well, because we saw it in the actual F1 race a little bit earlier today. I think it was Vettel, from what I remember, of course, and I think it was a Sauber, I think. I'm not 100% sure who it was coming into the pits, and Vettel had to literally jam on the brakes just to ensure that he didn't cream cracker into the back of him, and as a result, it obviously cost him time, and Hamilton was able to get up to him. So there is a con to it, but at the end of the day, you've got to adhere to the rules, and anybody who does that, of course, expect to meet him with the stewards.
Yeah, indeed, and you look at the current guys out on track, only 3 guys have not set times, Curly, Welly, Cass and I Super Scrub. They're all now going to start to filter out. You can at a push get 3 laps in, but most likely it's going to be 2. That's why a lot of them guys set their early times. Curly Whirly, I believe, is going to... No, it'll be Davidos will be the first man to set a lap on this second stint for these guys. A very tight grid as you'd expect with a track circuit like this. These guys are going to be very, very tightly packed, and track space is going to be tough, so we could see a little bit of traffic coming into play as Davidos comes through the final few corners to start his lap here. This could be a pole time for him. He has to gain some significant time, but just 7/10 separates 12th to first position. Kian in 12th at the moment needs to improve upon that time. As some of these corners as well, you will notice that there's potential for track limits to be, let's use the word altered. It's very difficult to get it bang on right, but you can be punished, as we've seen in the F1 Grand Prix practice sessions done in qualifying. Can go wrong, and it can lose you time and cause a bit of damage. The terrain changes around this track are quite vast, very similar to Spa-Francorchamps when you have a train increase and decrease as you go up and down this circuit. A short one, of course, so they should be able to get a couple of laps in here. Davidos doing quite a good job at the moment as he comes through, but just I Super Scrub, Cass and Curly Whirly who are going to be the guys to set time, and most guys are in the pits. You've got Synthetic, Tim Palm, Clarky, Alex Hasty, and Ollie, and Gemzo and Nardi. Ollie versus Synthetic is obviously the key battle that we will keep an eye out in qualifying and in the Grand Prix.
Absolutely right, and I was just wondering for a minute if Davidos was actually pushing, because it sounded like he backed off, but he seems to be still on full throttle. So, in fact, now that I think of it, look at the lap time, yeah, he didn't seem to be pushing on that lap, so I don't know if he was just doing a little conservation lap or what, but he's currently 11th at this stage, not quite ideal for him, but still, 4 minutes to go. Anything can happen as Jim Pasty has actually left.
Probably rejoining at some point in this Grand Prix. Synthetic now on his outlap, so we'll keep an eye out. He'll be the last man to come across the line. Synthetic will guarantee to get at least a lap in. Might try and squeeze 2. It's all this traffic that could cause a few little problems here and there for the guys. Nardi X top at the moment. Curly moves himself into second position. I can see that top 3, not just top 3, I can see that pole position changing a few times before the end of this Grand Prix. Just over 3.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session.
Yeah, don't rule out Michael either, because remember that brilliant race he showed. Today he's obviously, of course, in a Red Bull, which kind of proves that he's still a reserve driver, but I think he was saying in terms of he will be here for the rest of the season, just to continue on as a reserve driver, so he's not really in with an actual team. I don't know if you have mentioned it, Ollie, or not. You might have done, I can't remember, but isn't VGI Falcon also a reserve driver who's coming for today?
I believe so, yeah.
So he's a reserve driver that's coming today. We've got 15 cars again for this weekend. I think that's the same amount we had last week, of course. Tim Palm, is he on a lap? No, he's on an out lap at the moment. He's about to start a lap. Kian, he's on a lap, currently in 11th place. He's coming up now towards the final 2 corners, including where the people need to ensure they go to the right of the pit lane, which Kian hasn't done in qualifying. I don't know if it's if they're going to be what's the word I'm looking for? Enforcing it during qualifying. I don't know if it's just the race, but if it is just for the race, he'll need to be aware he can't do that, otherwise he'll end up with a time penalty.
Yeah, Synthetic, who was on a lap, made a few mistakes out of turn 1 and 2, looks to have backed off a little bit, and I think he'll be going for a secondary run. Guys coming up the pits, Ollie, Alex, they're all going to start to filter out. Qualifying we are looking at the low 1 minute 5s as a pole time, so a 1 minute 5.4 at the moment doesn't look like it's going to be good enough. But at the moment, he is in the original pole, and it's confident and considerate place for him. 12th place Synthetic is not great considering where Ollie starts. Synthetic's coming through the final corner now, as I believe he's about to hit his final hot lap of this qualifying session. No, he's improved, in fact, and I thought that was a slow time. He moved up into 5th position, ahead, crucially, of his championship rival Ollie D. He'll need to
Not by
improve
much,
upon that,
though.
Ollie. No, not much at all. Ollie coming through the final few corners now, as I think he's about to ramp up for his laps. So keep an eye on Ollie, what he does, because it's important that he gets a good time going. I think Synthetic is backed off based on his brake. Yeah, he's backed off through. So Ollie, through the first few corners, it doesn't look too comfortable on there. Very stiff sort of setup at the moment. The suspension doesn't look to be too good at the moment for him. He's just coming up the long hill with DRS DRS detection zone in real F1, not here of course, just 2 on the start finish straight, and as we're saying here, it's been turned 3 and 4. He's going to open that DRS nice and wide, as he's going to have no additional slipstream of guys ahead of him. As you'll see, there's a back marker or some traffic there of Falcon as he goes past Ollie, just about getting that line nicely. Most cars will lock up through their currents with tyre wear, which we've been informed is going to be a huge fall-off point, so undercuts are going to be vital. But getting that point just about right is going to be vital if you want to win this Grand Prix, finding that perfect moment. Looking at around about 9 or 10 if people want to get the undercut. He's coming through the final few corners there, nicely on the curve, on the power. Going to come through these final 2 corners, some of the toughest corners on the F1 calendar. Comes through, and he seems to have got a beautiful line through there. Brakes nice and late into the final corner. He's going to open up the DRS. And Ollie moves up into... No, he doesn't. It's a bad lap there. So
It didn't sound like he was pushing in the last 2 corners when I was riding on board with him. It sounded like he backed off a little bit, so I don't know if he made a mistake during his lap. But he seems to be trying again then, it seems.
Yeah, he needs to go one more time. This isn't a good qualifying for him. Synthetic has also backed off, so it looks like Synthetic has called it a day. Michael's going to be coming through. We've got to keep an eye on this pole lap. Curly Whirly's coming across the line now. He's about to start another lap as well. Nardi coming through the final corner now. All these guys are going to start to improve upon their time. Nardi crosses the line. Can he improve? No. Starts another lap. So these guys don't seem to be improving at the moment, as Jim Pasty has called it a day. So is Tim Palm there in the pits. Guys coming through the final corners. Clarkey comes across the line. He moves up into 3rd position. A good work there. Gemzo's backed off of his lap. Synthetic not on a lap as well, as we're looking. Ollie looks to be one of the next guys to come across the line. A vital moment for his championship if he wants to get there. Remember, no attendance for him in the final Grand Prix means that he needs to make every second count now. Through the final few corners, perfectly on it there, onto the curb, nice and wide, opening up the exit, DRS open, down the start finish straight, and Ollie improves up into 2nd position. A crucial qualifying from him with his championship rival down in 8th. A great time, just 0.76 seconds off Michael, who has gone top. Nardi coming through now. We've got to keep an eye on him. And I think Curly Whirly will go first. He's coming through the final few corners. He showed some good pace earlier. We are in them low 1:05s at the moment, as was predicted to be. Can Curly Whirly improve, though, as Kian's gone off wide, so he's starting down in 13th. Across the line comes Curly Whirly. No improvement for him. Gemzo's into the pits. And I think Nardi's going to be one of the final guys. He's backed off, so Nardi isn't calling it. Clarky's not on a lap, and I think Cass is coming through the final corner. Across the line, Cass doesn't improve, and that is qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix. 15th to 1st, last to 1st, is separated by just over 7/10 of a second. A fantastic time there from Michael and Falcon to get a 1-2 for the VGIA guys, with Ollie, the current defending champion, taking the champion-elect down in 9th position. Not a great qualifying for Synthetic, who I think is still in the lobby. His name's gone grey, which normally means he's left. Hopefully he hasn't. We're going to have a close championship battle. But Mercedes fans and the Brits supporting Ollie will hopefully
it usually means they've retired. I understand. Usually means they've retired, not.
They've retired, my bad. All the potential for a fantastic championship scrap once again, just like Singapore.
Absolutely right. Well, that is now the end of qualifying. As you can see, it is now officially come to an end, and as a result, here is the grid for the race. It's Michael on pole with Falcon 2nd, Ollie D 3rd, Nardi X in 4th, Clarky 5th, Curly Whirly 6th, Gemzo 7th, Alex 8th, Synthetic 9th, Cass 10th, Pasty 11th, Tim Palm 12th, Kian 13th, I Super Squad 14th, and Davidos 15th and last.
Fantastic qualifying, as mentioned by Michael, who, if on the next game in the next season, I think you mentioned this in Singapore, but have a fantastic opportunity of winning the championship essentially. He's had a really good run of momentum, while Ollie and Synthetic have kind of not focused on the race victories, but more kind of focused on their own scraps, keeping an eye on where their opponents, where their rival is finishing compared to the overall race. So Joe, we've only got around about 30 seconds, just over, as the guys will tick down and make their final adjustments to set up. What are your predictions for this Grand Prix, not just for the race winner, but Synthetic versus Ollie?
I feel that around this track, I think Ollie D might have the upper hand on synthetic in terms of the race. I think probably one of the VGIA guys, preferably Michael, because we've seen his pace at Singapore. He came close to the victory in Italy, and I honestly think he's on a run of form in a minute. So I'm going with Michael for the victory again.
Yeah, a desperate time for Ollie. He needs to pick up a win and hope that synthetic drops major points, as it's going to be a big swing if he wants to win this championship. The final 10 seconds. They got themselves ready for this Grand Prix. It's bright and sunny for the Grand Prix as we are about to hit the Austrian Grand Prix. 5 red lights await these guys. It's Falcon and Michael locking out the front row. 5 red lights and they are underway. A good start so far there seemingly from the Red Bull. But down in turn 1's going to be a sharp braking. A little bit of scrapping in the background there between the Renault and the McLaren. I think that's Kian and Pasti. A clean start though from Michael and Falcon. He's been put under pressure now though from Ollie. Falcon though continuing a great line up the straight now. He's going to have slipstream, no DRS of course at the moment. They're going to go side by side, hurting nothing to turn 3. Later on the braking goes to McLaren up the inside of the Red Bull. They're going to go side by side, a little bit of squeezing wheel to wheel there. Ollie though has dropped down to 5th position. A fantastic. Oh, sorry, no, he hasn't. My bad. He's in. I think he's in 3rd. Yes, he's going side by side. No, he's up in the 3rd. Little issue there with the side counter. As Nardi now going to go round the outside. Ahead of them two though is Falcon and Michael. Michael's been pushed off. Ollie moves up into 2nd position. Nardi takes 3rd, and Falcon in the McLaren takes the lead. Further down though, Clarkey looking up the inside of Michael maybe. He's going to try it up the inside, but round the outside goes Curly Whirly. They're going to go side by side, and Curly thinks better of it. Gemzo into 7th. 8th though for synthetic, and a very chaotic start there from Kian and Pasti hitting each other to Falcon taking the lead of this Grand Prix with Ollie all over his rear end.
Yes, great start indeed. This is exactly the start Ollie D needed, especially now he's up in 2nd place. Synthetic all the way down in 8th. As mentioned, this is exactly what he needs. He's now challenging Falcon for the lead of the race, who's set an early fastest lap, but still he's tagging into his slipstream. Will he try and possibly get right into the Remus curve, and he loses the back end into turn 1 as we've mentioned that, and now that's going to put him prey to Nardi X up towards the Remus curve now. Then will Nardi go for a move into Remus? He's going to have a look to the inside, and no, thinks better of it, backs out of it and puts him prey to Michael yet again.
Yeah, Ollie there getting a little bit wavy, too early on the power, a little bit too eager. He does seem to be the quicker of the two guys in 1st and 2nd. Synthetic has gained a position off the line. His next target's Gemzo, but it's a long train of cars, almost as you would say, a gaggle of cars forming up ahead there. So a potential overtaking spree ahead of us. It's very difficult to get past here. You're going to need that DRS and slipstream both to work in tandem. All these guys. Oh, it's synthetic! Synthetic! Synthetic's gone wide into the gone wide into the looping corner around the Red Bull statue. He's gone up in the air. I'm not sure if he got any damage. I think he's clear from there. As no, it looks like he's pulled over to the right hand side. And Synthetic is coming into the pits there, so he picked up damage. And in the pits he comes, and a disaster there from Synthetic. Obviously, I don't think you were able to pick up on it, but he goes round. He just goes a little bit too wide, a little bit of understeer, maybe picked up from earlier incidents in this Grand Prix, and his car's gone up, down, and he's picked up damage, and into the pits he comes. So it's an early strategy change here. These onto a set of soft compound or super softs. It's changing. I think he's onto a set of super soft tyres. I'll try and get that checked. Yeah, he's onto super soft tyres. So it looks like he's committed to a 2-stop strategy. So this might just be the moment that Ollie needed.
Absolutely right, this is exactly what he needed, and yeah, I didn't quite catch that, of course, because I was seeing that Kian had just retired from the race there. It seems that he's called it a day. I think something must have happened to him, because it didn't look like a normal disconnect from his end. So sad enough for Kian, that's another bad weekend for the Irishman. But yeah, Synthetic now out of the points, and he's got a lot of work to do, considering that his main rival, Ollie D, is up in 2nd and challenging for the lead of the race.
Yeah, crucially though for Synthetic is the fact that all these guys are so close, and it shouldn't take him too long to start chipping away at them time and then gaps ahead though. You look at Gemzo on the back of Curly Whirly, this could be interesting. The only issue is of course that Curly will have DRS as well, so overtaking is going to be very, very tough. You want to look at the guy at the front, Ollie and Falcon. Them guys are very tight, with Ollie with his DRS and slipstream assistance to try and get past. None for Falcon as he leads. He's going to have to try and shake off the Mercedes driver. He goes defensive, moving to the left-hand side of the track. Ollie maybe going to go for a late braking manoeuvre. He thinks better of it. You can see that Synthetic has had a poor start to this Grand Prix. As Synthetic has pitted again. Into the pits comes Synthetic again. Did he get a drive-through maybe? No, it looks like the Williams guys are out. So he's coming onto a set of soft compound tyres.
Another front wing change.
Another front wing change there for Synthetic. So maybe the guys didn't get his front wing. So no, he's gone on to another set of super softs. A front wing change for Synthetic. And I think maybe that's Synthetic's race over. And It can be a huge swing in the championship here from 34 points. Ollie could chip away 25 of them. At the moment, it's 18 that he'll be gaining from Synthetic's lead at the moment. So perfect for the guy supporting the Mercedes driver at the moment.
What an absolute disaster for Synthetic there. If only, not only could his race get any worse, but that has had to happen to him. And now it's, well, I don't even know what to do at this point with him, to be honest. I think he might as well. Well, then again, it is early days, but I was about to say calling it a day at the end of the day. But still, at least he's on fresher tyres now, so he could be able to gain a lot of time during when everybody comes into the pits. Now he's made 2 pit stops, but yeah, a disaster for the German. And as you can see, the top 3 getting very racy indeed.
Yeah, they're going to get very, very close through these next few laps. Ollie, though, with the DRS line heavy at the moment, so we need to keep an eye on this. As Ollie just needs to keep it patient, but Nardi behind him can smell blood. You can see that there's a potential for a Grand Prix victory, an important one for him as well, as he looks to battle for that 3rd place, currently occupied by, I believe, Alex, who is in 3rd, who had that fantastic performance in Belgium that he's clinging on to. It's probably one of the best drives of the season, I must say. A chaotic Belgian Grand Prix. We've had some great races, and this might just go down as one of them, with Synthetic, the championship leader, down in 14th position, and Ollie on the tail of Falcon in the Mercedes as he looks to hunt down 25 points that could really change the championship dynamic. Further down, Tim Palm's on super soft tyres, Davidoff's also in super scrub. He's actually on soft confidant tyres, and Jim Pasti on the softs. Synthetic, he's on supers as well, so the top 9 on the ultras, these are going to degrade very, very quickly. Tim Palm did a fantastic job at the moment being on them super soft tyres, the Red Bull tyres, and that's he's really able to keep up with Cass and the guys ahead. This train is really doing him a favour at the moment. I think Synthetic does have an outside chance of points at the moment. It'll take some strategy and some real pushing from him, but it's going to be a damage limitation at this point. Through the midfield, we always have some great scraps. Curly Whirly's really in trouble at the moment. He's 1.2 seconds off Gemzo and out of the DRS.
Yep, absolutely right. Apologies earlier on if I didn't put all the telemetry stuff on. Probably that's what you lot were probably screaming at in the chat. But as you can see, Synthetic setting the fastest lap now, so maybe it's not all over yet. He's still only, what, 5 seconds perhaps behind Pasti, so comeback's still basically on for the German. But in terms of the championship, I think that's just been shot.
Yeah, it's not really really needed for him, but it's not the ideal Austrian Grand Prix, as close as he's going to get to a home Grand Prix this season, of course. No German Grand Prix for the man at the in the Williams car. Ollie seems to be struggling though through turn 1. I've hit him a few times, and every time he gets onto the power a little bit too early, and that's actually hindering him as he tries to chase down Falcon. But no overtakes at the moment. These guys are so close, but overtaking is very, very tough through here. But if you just look from where Gemzo is to Falcon, how tight these guys are. You can see them all pretty much within the same shot. You could probably, if you had the perfect camera angle, just as I say that, probably around about there really, you can get them all into one. I mean, it is so tight, but no overtaking opportunities at the moment. Ollie will be a little bit frustrated. He just needs to get his head straight, get his head down, chin up, and really push Falcon maybe into a mistake. Guys are coming very close to serious undercuts, but between lap 10 and 13 is when a legitimate fit. Someone maybe look around about 8 or 9 for him to fit.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I actually looked on board at that point, and yeah, you could definitely tell how tight the top 6 is between each other, as Ollie sits pretty much DLS galore now then down this pit straight. Sorry for the little lag you probably saw on the screen, as Ollie again having a little look at Falcon into turn 1, but again, it must be dirty air or something like that, because it's very clear that he's just struggling to find a way through on Falcon at the minute. But maybe up towards Remus. Can he go for a dive? Well, he's thinking about it, but again, thinking about, oh, he's gone deep! Falcon's gone deep, and he's leaning right on Ollie there as a come out of Remus, and Ollie D, if he could just get the momentum, which he does, Ollie D leads in Austria, and now Nardi wants a piece of Falcon. Falcon trying to go around the outside, trying to do a Michael Schumacher-esque move from 1998. He didn't quite work out, and pretty much the same consequences as Schumacher. Nardi X goes through into second place, and Nardi now having a look at Ollie, who seems to have gone deep into that left-hander, a little bit squirmish there from Falcon. But wow, Ollie D, just as he needed to, leads the race, and again Falcon getting squirmy as somebody goes off in the background there. Not quite sure who that is that's just gone off in the... It's Gemzo, is it? It is Gemzo, so he's lost out in that battle with I think it was Clark Hill earlier, and any chance of trying to grab 5th. as he now comes into the pits, I think. So he's ditching on those tyres and maybe trying to do a change of strategy. But yeah, Ollie D now leads the race.
Yeah, an absolute nightmare there from Falcon. I'm just suspecting, I think he's picked up damage. He seems to be understeering all over the place at the moment. Either that or there was dirt on his tyres that was causing that major loss. Further down the field there, Alex and Cass were squabbling, and Alex has moved up a position, so the midfield continuing. But Nardi is going to be the man on the hunt now, Ollie. This field could start to spread out a little bit. Curly Whirly hasn't actually gained that much from all of this incident. Apart from moving on to Falcon, he's still a second behind, so Falcon could still come back up to him. Michelangelo's now, formerly Michelangelo. Michael, he is now up into third position, and he's going to try and gain onto these two at the moment. Nardi and Ollie, who haven't really been that close on track previously. Cass and Tim going side by side, a little bit of argy-bargy between them two. Nicely does it, and Cass holds into position, but Tim on them super softs is getting very, very eager to get past, keeping an eye on these guys. If anyone's going to dart into pits, there goes Alex. He's the first man to go into the pits. He keeps the car on the limits, just about. I think they'll let him have that, and he comes into the pits, and I imagine it'll be a fresh of super soft tyres, so he'll be one of the first men for the undercut at the moment. So a good bit of work there from the guys, and Alex hopefully can get in. Lose 2.2 seconds off Jim Pasty as he begins his fight through. You've got to remember though, all these guys have got to pit again, and Synthetic, who is very, very good on his tyres, you would imagine that he'd probably not have to pit again, but crucially he's losing 25 points into his lead. But that isn't too crucial for him, of course, because Ollie misses the finale at Brazil. So all Ollie needs to do at the moment is continue what he's doing, and he is one step closer to regaining his championship.
Yeah, I think at this stage, if I'm correct, the gap would be 9 points between the pair of them if it stays like this. But Ollie still needs to do work, of course. He's still got 27 laps, including a pit stop to do. And he's got Nardi X right all over him, pretty much touching his gearbox at this stage, coming down towards the final two turns. And Nardi getting close in the slipstream, but obviously not close enough. He'll surely have the DRS going down the pit straight. But goes a little deep, I think, coming off the turn, but still it looked like Ollie D also took the same line. Will he go for the lead now then, as he's in the slipstream, looks to the inside, but thinks better of it, tucks back, maybe he can try and get a run up towards Remus. A beautiful exit from the Spaniard as he now gets into the slipstream, trying to keep with him there. Ollie looking like he might go a bit defensive, but Nardi X might look to the outside into Remus as Ollie positions his car to the inside. He might try and do the switch back on him down the straight. A flick of the DRS. Can he get him into turn 3? Can he try and do a Ricardo S move from earlier today? Side by side they go into turn 3, trying to break that later than Ollie D as they go side by side, but Ollie just able to hold on a touch of wheels, and it allows Michael to just get through and slip into second place. So again, another example of that. And Clarkey, and oh dear me, Mary Clips. Clarkey has taken out Nardi X, and well, that is Nardi X's chance of victory down the toilet, and I wouldn't be surprised if the stewards had a word with him with that one.
Yeah, strange manoeuvre there. Nardi originally trying to get into the official turn 4 round the outside. Many see it as turn 3. Turn 4 doesn't work out for him, no, and it's just hindered him throughout there. And Clarkey tries to go for an opportunistic move and has caused himself some damage. Keeping an eye on the pit battle though, Ollie and Michael are both coming to the pit to see if there's any jumps here. Ollie gets that nice and clearly. Michael does as well, and I think, oh, he's just about held on to it there, Ollie. So Ollie's going to be tight. Keeping an eye on Alex, who's coming through the final few corners. With all that scrapping going on, there is potential that Alex may have gained dramatically as they come through the first few corners. On board with Alex, he can see the leaders there, so Alex has gained quite a lot from the pit stops. Just a couple of laps early on the tyres, and you can see the guys ahead of him. So the undercut has worked a treat for him, and he could be in a provisional top 3 at the moment. Falcon, though, going side by side with Tim Palm, and Falcon really struggling, so I imagine there's some front wing damage or some degradation going on for him as Tim Palm moves up into third position. He'll be going a little bit longer. Clarkey, who I imagine is probably going to be looked into after his incident there with Nardi, not going to go down well with the Spanish guys.
As Michael's down the inside of Ollie. Down the inside he goes, and he gets the place. Michael through ahead of Ollie, and wow. That will give Synthetic a little bit of breathing space, and now look who's behind Ollie D. It's Alex. He might give Synthetic a little bit of a helping hand.
Yeah, Ollie's not giving up that easily, though. He's going to try his absolute best. He knows it's vital that he continues doing it. As you mentioned, if he wins this Grand Prix, it's just 9 points between him and Synthetic in the championship. But it looks like Michael has pulled away nicely, and the Germans will be over the moon with that. A load of guys are now coming into the pits, but Ollie gets a fantastic exit out of the final corner now. DRS will aid him along with Slipstream, but it looks like Michael just has about a good enough run now. He's going to have to try and do it up into turn 2 and turn 3. A poor line there from Michael as Ollie has to back out of it and have a second attempt of the apex. He can have Slipstream, no DRS up this long, swooping left hand. And a little bit later maybe, and no, he can't think better of it, so Ollie's going to have to slot into a provisional P2 at the moment, as Alex is up into P3 as Clarkey drops down into 4th and Falcon in 5th at the moment. But there's still guys such as Davidos, I Super Scrub, Tim Palm and Curly who's going really long on his ultras at the moment, and Ollie just needs to keep putting the pressure on Michael, who has shown the Grand Prix that he'll feel he deserved after earlier being punted off by Falcon. There'll be one man that's very disappointed, and he's down in P12 and got Synthetic 10 seconds behind him, and that'll be Jim Nardi as Curly Whirly comes into the pits. Ollie really have another run. He's 2 tenths behind him, which seems to be just about enough. This final few corners, though, are so important for him if he wants to get the manoeuvre done. Through the final corner, he gets a good line there. DRS will aid him along with Slipstream once again. I think he's just too far away now. Michael goes defensive. He knows that Ollie is getting onto him, and he's going to have to get a little bit, get his elbows out a little bit and try and defend as Michael gets a little bit wavy out of the corner there of turn 1, but Ollie doesn't have the power, and it seemingly hasn't set his car up for Slipstream. So Michael, and I think Falcon as well, have got very good straight line speed heavy cars at the moment.
They must do indeed. Clearly they've set up their cars pretty well to go down the straight, of course, and as you can see, Ollie D, as you mentioned a little earlier, not really giving up on Michael. 2 cars still yet to make a stop, of course. Davidos and I Super Scrub. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a set of soft tyres like a majority of the field has done today. But yeah, as you mentioned, Nardi X probably disappointed along with Synthetic as well. Nardi X robbed of a potential victory as well after being punted by Clarkey, and you have to say that hope that possibly the stewards will have a word with that, because that was a little bit of an ambitious dive there from Clarkey, and obviously it didn't end very well for them, did it?
Yeah, it's not our place to say about stewarding. They'll obviously have a look at that themselves, and it'll be down to the driver whether or not they want to go. Ollie seems to be close to never know through the final corner now with DRS nice and open. He needs to just set himself up nicely going into it. Imagine the second set of DRS. Michael gets a little bit wider there, and that's how he seems to get a little bit of a better exit than Ollie. He goes wider onto the exit of the into the entry of the corner, opens up the corner nice and early, and Ollie can't get in with the slipstream alone, so he needs to try and get something miraculous, or hope that Michael makes a little error similar to how Ollie lost the position in the first place. He gets very close through there. He just almost clips the rear wheels of Michael, but cannot get the manoeuvre done further down the grid. Alex has done a fantastic job up into P3, provisionally of course, with Super Scrub and Davidos still in the pit. He needs to try and do Synthetic a favour and try and get past Ollie and nullify any points gained. Curly Whirly has got Clarkey behind him, and Clarkey and Falcon will have DRS to try and attack the Mercedes driver, who is on the freshest tyres at the moment compared to everyone. Interesting though, most of the guys on soft compound tyres, Gemzo who's on super softs at the moment, but Synthetic on the super softs. I'll be surprised if he gets into the end, but he's very good on his tyres. Falcon, Clarkey, both trying to close down Curly Whirly as Ollie once again comes to the final few corners to try and catch up to Michael in the Red Bull. DRS again, Davidos into the pits, lap 16 of 36. It currently stands Michael, Ollie and Alex make up the podium. The Super Scrub is still yet to pit. He's currently leading this Grand Prix. It's a poor line there from Michael, it seems. Just analysing it there, it seems like Michael goes a lot wider, whereas Ollie attacks the corner much more. So Michael sets himself up through the exit of turn 1, whereas Ollie tries to attack it a little bit more.
And that's obviously why Michael's obviously fending off from Ollie at this stage. It's very clear that it's definitely working out for Michael, because he's then able to fend off from Ollie, and as a result, Ollie just hasn't really got a response to him, even with DRS. So, yeah, so you'll have to try and keep him honest, of course. They probably will not have to pit again. I don't think we'll be seeing something similar to what we saw in the real-life Austrian Grand Prix, where we saw blistering on the rear tyres. So he's going to have to really knuckle down and find a weak area where Michael isn't strong at, and see if he can try again, because at the moment it seems in the exit of the corners Michael just seems to be a lot better than Ollie.
Yeah, it seems to be, from what I can tell. Ollie through the corners is absolutely fantastic, but it's just them important overtaking opportunities that Michael can seem to get away from Ollie a little bit. You'll see through the final few corners there, he gets a great exit, Ollie, but just down the straight, his DRS may be inactive, of course. When someone leaves the lobby, it can affect the DRS, an issue that some of these guys face. And Ollie just seems to, whenever he gets down the power, a little bit of wheel spin, he can't get it done. It could be important though that Super Scrub could cause a few problems as they try and overtake him. Of course, he's not going to let them get them through, and he's going a little bit longer on them soft compound tyres. So Ollie will be hoping that Super Scrub can cause a little bit of an issue there. Ollie getting closer in 5 tenths at the moment, not going to be close enough. You need to be realistically, he needs to be around about 2 tenths coming through this bit. He needs to be right on his rear end coming through the final few corners. The issue is this track is so short that you're basically setting yourself up for an overtake the entire time. You don't get any respite, and you're constantly defending with every area. As I think we've seen so far, every area is a potential overtaking opportunity. I think we may have had an overtake at every corner so far, but Ollie needs to continue his hard work. Clarkey unable to get past Curly Whirly, doing a good job at the moment. Curly very well set up in that car as he's trying to gain on Alex, who has dropped behind, so he's out of DRS, and he could be at the clutches and at the peril of the Mercedes, Toro Rosso and McLaren, who are hunting him down, along with Gemno and Tim Palm, who are right on his rear end. Tim Palm done a fantastic job on them super soft tyres earlier on to get onto, going onto there with Michael actually, Michael and Ollie closer than ever. Super Scrub is not going to let him cut past it very easy at all. Ollie got very close to the rear end there and could have caused some damage. Michael with DRS potentially going up into this next DRS straight. But Super Scrub is doing Ollie a favour at the moment. He's holding him up, and this could actually make the Mercedes driver's day. He's going to have DRS and slipstream, but so too will Michael. But Super Scrub could make himself a bit of a nuisance at the moment. Will he defend against the Red Bull driver? I'd imagine he will. Is Michael going to dive up the inside? He goes for it, and Super Scrub's going to defend it. But Super Scrub's held the position. All this is doing is allowing Ollie to come back into it. But Michael, with better traction and better tyres, able to hold on to it. He's going to go wide around the corner, and Super Scrub's going to push him wide now. Super Scrub going side by side, but Michael gets it done. And I think he's going to let Ollie through a lot easier. Ollie's going to have to try it. They're going to come together.
No.
Not ideal, and Super Scrub's lost the car completely. Super Scrub has lost the car. He's spun out, made contact with Ollie, and from pretty much a situation where Ollie was gaining dramatically, he's lost out quite a lot there. And Alex now is closer than ever to the Mercedes driver, as Ollie now picks up a penalty as well to add to his woes. So from a pretty much looking like he was going to win this Grand Prix with ease when he got up into first, he's now got a penalty, and clutches and at the peril of Alex, and he's gone wide there as well, so that'll be another additional penalty as Gemzo DNFs. It doesn't rain, it pours for Gemzo. He's lost it through the final corner and has called it a day with wing. So Gemzo, sadly, no points for him. Unfortunately, that promotes Synthetic up 11 now as Super Scrub comes into the pits. Synthetic is just one place away from points. If it doesn't rain, it pours. Side by side go Clarkey and Falcon there, the Mercedes, McLaren and Toro Rosso. They're side by side. Falcon breaks a little bit later. Clarkey goes for the switchback. He's not going to have the traction, so don't think they're going to push side by side. I don't think they are. So Falcon getting the move. He's going to be able to hang that round, and Falcon moves up into P5, getting past Clarkey. Next up on his return to hopefully a podium for his sake is Curly Whirly, the teammate of the man currently in second position, Ollie, who is dropping quite a lot to Michael. So I wonder if he picked up damage there, as Alex, unsurprisingly, is going to try his very best to take opportunity from this and maybe gain a few points in the Constructors' Championship as well, which isn't really going Williams' way at the moment.
Did you say something there? Because there was a little bit of a cut. But yeah, I think you mentioned something about Alex. So yeah, Williams, he's pretty much doing Williams a favour at the moment, being right behind Ollie D at the moment. So up towards Remus, looks like Ollie goes a little bit defensive there, coming into there. He'll have the DRS coming down here, but again, kind of similar to what we've seen a little earlier with Ollie D trying to get Michael earlier. He's just not close enough, just hasn't got the momentum to try and get on him, and as a result, Ollie D is able to fend him off. He might try and break a little bit later, but again, Ollie D able to fend off for the minute, and if they're not careful, Curly Whirly could get himself into this fight as well and hopefully give his teammate a helping hand.
Yeah, Super Scrub has done Michael, formerly Michael Angelo, and absolutely 1.9 seconds Ollie's behind. I wonder if he maybe picked up damage or if the DRS was pulling him along, because Alex now is all over his rear end. Curly Whirly going to have to try and fend off Falcon, who has been charging through. Clarkey was his last victim. Palm the rear end. It's tight. 11 seconds between Synthetic and Nardi at the moment. He wants to get 10 points, which will really help his championship. Turn one again. He seemingly cannot get that corner right. I don't think this is a good track for him. At 6 seconds worth of penalties, which on average is probably going to put him around maybe about 8. But continues the way he's going. Maybe lower down in ninth if the guys pack up and start to pack in. So for Synthetic, who's coming to the pit for the second time, I think he'll go on to another set of super soft tyres, maybe. Yeah, super soft tyres for Synthetic, as he drops down to the P12 and back. I think he'll be down into 13, so a net last for Synthetic, not able to make them tyres last at the end of the Grand Prix. Ollie, though, is in real danger from Alex.
It sounds like to me that Ollie is completely cut out from the microphone, it seems. Are you speaking now, Ollie? Because it seems
Hello?
like... Yeah, you're speaking now.
Hello?
Sorry about that, guys, about the little audio issues from Ollie. So, continue then, Ollie.
I was just saying how Synthetic has come into the pit, and you know he wasn't able to get them tyres last until the end, but Ollie is really in danger at the moment with his 6-second time penalties. It's going to drop into around about 8th position, and that's not going to be ideal for him in a race where we thought he was going to win this Grand Prix. When he got into the lead, he is now under real pressure from Alex, Curly, Falcon, and potentially as well Tim, Clarkey, and Cass. I don't think Davidos. So really, the top 8 are so tightly packed at the moment. Michael having a bit of breathing space at the moment.
Absolutely right, and Alex looks like he's now starting to drop back a bit as now Curly and Falcon start to get onto him now. Then so it looks like we now have a three-way scrap for the for third place, and this is possibly exactly what Ollie needed, especially considering that his teammate is now starting to fight Alex, which in a way is kind of a little bit interesting considering there was a little bit of tension between them last week at Singapore. But it seems that they've cleared the air this weekend, and Curly Whirly now trying to help out his teammate this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was whether he's helping him out or looking at selfish gains at the moment. If they were the other way around, would Curly let him through after the bad blood? I'm not sure if these guys will be teammates next season, if the potential is on the cards at the moment. But all the guys seemingly struggling through turn 1, especially the man in second position at the moment, Ollie. He's not having a great time. At the moment, is not able to get onto the rear end. He's backing up the guy behind. If Ollie can pull or get that 6 seconds, it will be 18 points. It's not looking great for him. 8th position is looking where he'd finished at the moment with the way things are set up. 2 time penalties for track limits being evaded. Falcon, though, is showing some good pace, but the issue with, as we expected, it's very difficult to overtake here. As Synthetic's its fastest lap showing, he does have some pace on them tyres as he looks to try and make his way a point, which would really help his championship. With just 13 laps to go, lap 23 or 36, entering the final third of this Grand Prix very, very short.
Yep, and as you mentioned there, Synthetic's still showing some good pace, but we already established his race was pretty much over to begin with, just due to the issue that he had at the beginning of the race, which is why now he's down in 13th place, and it's looking more likely that Ollie D will take massive chunks out of him. Sorry for the little lags you may have seen on the screen. Hopefully it's not going to spoil your entertainment too much, but as you can see, Curly Way now starting to drop back a bit from Alex, as now Falcon is now right all over the back of him. Maybe he could try and possibly a dive up in towards the Remus curve now then. And, well, he's going to remain single file, doesn't think about diving it down the inside. He will have the DRS, but so will Ollie, which will counteract any opportunity for Falcon to potentially get by into turn at number 3. And, well, that's that really, as they make their way down towards turn 3. And Falcon, as predicted, not able to get the place off Curly Way. As you mentioned, again, very tricky to overtake around here, and kind of saw it in real life at the Austrian Grand Prix, but it still produced quite an exciting race. And I wouldn't say it's a bad race. It has been quite exciting to watch indeed. But yeah, that's pretty much that really.
Yeah, it's been one of them races where everyone's so tight and there's potential for some great battles, but nobody can seemingly get anything done at the moment, apart from Michael on Ollie, which has been the most important overtake of the weekend so far between these guys. It looks like these guys will just have to try and hope that there's tyre issues or there's some degradation that gets them in there. But Tim, who seems to be a mile away from him, is still a second because of how short this track is. You don't realise the gaps. Tim has actually dropped behind now, so that could open Clarkey and Cass up onto his DRS shortly. Davidos is dropping back quite a lot, which could get Nardi up into 9th position with the way he's flying at the moment on the set of super soft. And Jim Pasty, he's a little bit too off, so there'll be some DRS for Synthetic, who is on the rear end of Super Scrub and could go for an overtake shortly as he fights his way through. The championship leader not having a great time of it, but his championship rival doesn't look to be having a good day either at the moment. He might be in P2, but with 6 seconds worth of penalties, He'll be dropping to around about 8th, depending on what other people's penalties are. So not maximum points as he'd like, and looking like he won't even get a podium at the moment. It'll be interesting to see, though, who will be on the podium as well. Of course, Curly Whirly at the moment will be on the third step with the way things are going. And Alex, who has gone for the undercut, might struggle at the end of this Grand Prix, actually. Keep an eye on that one. His tyres will start to fall off. A few issues with the tyres on what ones are showing compared to what the graphic has. So we'll take the graphic as gospel, as I cannot imagine Alex has gone onto a set of ultra soft tyres. But yeah, Michael storming away at the moment, and Ollie trying to defend as much as possible, as Falcon now picked up a penalty on his pursuit of Curly Whirly.
Yeah, I managed to caught that. In fact, he looked like he had 4 wheels over the first turn there, so pretty much deserved penalty there. But he's going to try and go for a dive on Curly Whirly down into Remus, and has a little bit of a wobble coming off the turn. He'll have the DRS, but like previously, Curly Whirly able to counteract him with DRS as well. And well, that's probably the closest that Falcon has got to actually possibly go for an overtake.
Yeah, Falcon is starting to get a little bit impatient behind him because he knows he has the pace, and round here it is so tough. There isn't a significant enough DRS straight. You'd imagine, though, going out of exit of turn 1, these guys, as Falcon's gone wide there, similar to what happened to Synthetic, so he may have picked up damage from that. We'll keep an eye. If he pulls over to the right-hand side, I think he's okay, though, and he's avoided the damage that Synthetic picked up, so Falcon needs to be very careful. He won't know it, but that is a big issue point for these drivers, as he is going wide through the final corner. So I think Falcon may have damaged his front wing slightly. Tim Palm over his rear end now. He's going to try and take advantage of the driver, who may rue his impatience to try and get past them.
Doesn't
man.
look
Tim
like
all over his rear end now. No, it might have been dirt on his tyres. So he was struggling through the corner. So interesting to see what does happen. Maybe his tyres have gone off. Tim Palm going to go up the inside. Maybe he's not going to think better of it, and Tim doesn't go for the manoeuvre. He slots in behind, but these guys are really. It's starting to see these guys really bunch up as Nardi comes into the pits onto ultra soft tyres. So interesting there from Nardi, and Pasty also comes into the pits.
Oh, dive from Tim Palm. He's on the inside of Falcon, and they go side by side around the right-hander up towards these double left-handers. He had a little go, but Falcon covers him off and keeps hold of the place for the moment. He could try and possibly get a run up towards the second to last corner if he's lucky enough, as they come out of these section of corners, up the hill then towards the final 2 turns on the track. And Tim Palm, it's probably his turn now to get a little bit impatient on Falcon, whereas compared to Falcon being impatient behind Curly Whirly. But now down the straight, will he try and get him up towards turn 1 now then? He's got the DRS, but again, not close enough. And as we think we have, well, it initially said we had a yellow in set 3, so something must have gone off down there. But yeah, unable to get him, as now, as you can see, Cass all over the backside of Clark. He's a go towards Remus. He's going to have a go down the inside. Can he pull the move off? And yes, he can. Up to 7th place goes Cass. And does Clarky have the DRS? He does. He might be able to get him back down into turn 3. And heading down the hill then towards turn 3, but not close enough, as now Cass had the DRS on those 2 in front. But that's Cass now up into 7th place, and Tim Palm still stuck behind Falcon.
Yeah, just had a look there at the penalties for Ollie to see where he'd come. With the way things are going, he would be in around about 6th with the penalties that people have. There are 2 guys on additional 6 seconds and a couple on 3, but those guys with 3 are Alex and Falcon. Falcon has 6 seconds, sorry, so it'd be Alex and I think Tim at the moment, so there's a very minute chance that Tim will get ahead of him, but Ollie will be dropping down to 6th position, and Curly Whirly will be promoted up into 2nd with the way penalties. A fantastically clean drive from Curly at the moment. These guys starting to filter through. Tim Palm is getting impatient behind the man who I labelled as a very impatient McLaren. He's got a little bit wayward out the first corner there. His tyres have lit up quite a lot, and Tim doesn't look like he's able to get the manoeuvre done. But slipstream alone, Tim is flying at the moment compared to Falcon. He's going to brake later into the corner. He needs to make sure he gets the perfect exit. He's got a very good line through the corner. Open up the corner nicely. DRS will be assistant now. He's going to have slipstream and DRS. None of that available for Falcon, as he's going to have to try and defend. Will Tim go for a late lunge? He's closing, gaining. Up the inside goes Tim. They're going to touch wheels there. Tim goes side by side with Falcon. Can he get the manoeuvre done this time? He gets better momentum out of the corner though. Falcon's got the inside line, which has been vital for him. They're going to touch again here. Tim backs out of it, and Falcon holds him to the position. But Tim is getting closer and closer as Falcon goes wide again there. saw some carbon fibre. I'm not too sure there, but they look like carbon fibre, but I think he's okay, Falcon. But he's really, really risking it through that corner. The second time he's gone wide there, a corner that caused damage to Synthetic. He now needs to do his best to hold on. But Tim Palm is getting closer and closer. Falcon is struggling. I think he has got damage to that front wing. DRS now going to help Tim get past now. Formerly Chicken. He's going to go up around the outside, and Falcon, I don't think he's going to defend. He breaks a little bit later. He's going to push Tim, maybe. He tries to cut the corner, but Falcon can't get it done. A little bit of a tag there from the Red Bull, as now this is going to open the Haas up onto Falcon. He's going to go side by side here. No slipstream, no DRS. Falcon's going to squeeze him out. His cat's going to go up the inside now. Going to go for it later on the brakes. Falcon brakes late as well. They're going to continue to go side by side, avoiding each other. DRS for both of these guys, so it's going to be a straight drag race. A great exit out of there. Lights up the tyres perfectly there, the Haas. And now Clarkey will think better of it, but Falcon's going to continue to go for a run there. Defensive manoeuvre. Up the inside goes Falcon. Is he going to touch him? They're just avoiding contact there. Falcon is losing positions at a rate of knots. Now this could open Clarkey up for the manoeuvre. Falcon, though, just pushed off slightly there, but he's held onto it. He can't go. Clarkey going to maybe go for the opportunistic move up the inside, but Falcon has dropped 2 positions and 1 lap there. He's really struggling, and he's just backed off a little bit there and caused some damage to the front wing of Clarkey. So Clarkey will be fuming, as it looks like Falcon, I don't think he broke, but he lifted off there, maybe to get through the corner, and has caused damage to Clarkey. There may be a stewards inquiry about that one, because Clarkey looked like he's a little bit, it looked like he might be annoyed with that, because Falcon has just lost front wing. And, you know, he's done some aggressive defensive and attacking manoeuvres in this Grand Prix, and he's just caused some damage to Clarkey after that.
Yeah, just a note, of course, we've got an insane battle for third now as Curly Will is all over the backside of Alex. Can he possibly try move into Remus? He thought about it, but remains behind him for the moment. He will get the DRS down towards turn 3. Also will Alex on Ollie D as well, so that might counteract him to prevent Curly from going for the move. He's going to possibly try and dive down into turn 3. But not close enough. But yeah, a very insane battle for third going on at this stage, Ollie.
Yeah, I really, really hope that Curly gets past. Not because I don't want Alex to get the position, but because I'd love to see what Curly does when he comes up against Ollie. The bad blood between these two has really started to boil over, and it'll be interesting to see what happens if Curly can get past Alex. But Alex has done a very good job at defending. But vitally, Curly is on the freshest tyres of the top 8, I believe, and Ollie is really starting to show a little bit of struggle, but Alex is really going to be feeling the effects of these tyres now. He pitted the earliest, I believe, on lap 9, going for the undercut, so his tyres may degrade and maybe see a puncture from him. It would be a disaster for him, but he needs to do his very, very best and avoid any lockups. Ollie is really struggling to get the car, you know, at the optimum speed, but Michael, we've got to mention lap 32 or 36, as he comes through the final few laps of his, hopefully his first from home fans, but you know, being a Greek guy, and there's not going to be many home races for him, so he'll take anything he can get. Austria not really sharing any demographics at all with Greece, but there'll be a small pocket of guys who are celebrating formerly Michelangelo, it's going to continue, formerly Michelangelo, now VGIA. Michael's hopefully for him a Grand Prix victory at Austria, but the battle between Curly, Alex and Ollie is going to continue to intensify, as these guys not only are battling on track, but this is a constructors squabble that, if it included Synthetic, would really show some heat. Synthetic, he's now lapping Super Scrub, who's really showing some poor pace. Surprising that he's in this top class. We may have picked up some damage there. I cannot imagine this is his genuine pace that he's showing at the moment. He's had an issue and had to pit again, but he is trying to gain onto the back of Nardi and get some points. That is Synthetic, but Curly Whirly and Alex is closer than ever, it seems, to the Mercedes of Roche Ollie D. He's going to come down. I don't think he's going to get the line, though. No DRS, of course, up this long straight. Tim Palm getting a penalty will help Ollie at the moment. So Ollie, I think, will move up to the 6th position with the way things are going at the moment. So Alex now braking a little bit later, needs to avoid lockups, as mentioned, because of his tyre degradation. Be keeping an eye on that as much as possible. Curly Whirly's getting very, very eager behind, though, as he looks to try and get up to the 2nd position.
Yeah, it's going to get very tense between those lot at the moment. As you can see, it looks like Cass is also... There's also a big scrap for 5th developing between Tim Palm, Cass and Falcon as well. And, well, 2 battles to keep an eye on, really. 1 for 2nd place and 1 for 5th place as well. Synthetic in 11th place. He's now 8 seconds back from Nardi X. It doesn't look like, unless Nardi X makes a mistake somewhere, that he's going to get into the points. So it looks like it's going to be no points for Synthetic unless the guys in front of him get a penalty. That's probably the only chance Synthetic has got of potentially getting some points in this race. But either way you look at it, Ollie D is still going to be cutting points in the championship despite the penalties he's also incurred.
the best hope would be that maybe Nardi hit Davidoff. And Nardi, who's on ultra soft tyres and flying. Alex as well. Speaking of which, he's got Curly on his rear end. A fantastic shot through the first corner there for Curly has opened this up nicely, and these guys are closer than ever. DRS, but Curly uses the rear end there. He set himself up perfectly, and Alex is going to have a little bit of respite as he tries to catch up to Curly's teammate. But these guys are all so close, and Curly is getting more and more desperate. 34 or 36, and just around about a few minutes left of this Grand Prix with just a 1 minute lap time. These guys will be testing. We'll talk about Michael when it comes on to the final Grand Prix. He drove flawlessly. He actually had led from turn 1, of course, but obviously got hit off by Falcon. Pole the victory, not the most conventional way of doing it, he had to do it the hard way. But Alex is really close to Ollie, and Curly will be kicking himself that he was unable to get past Alex there, as he got a really good line out of turn 1. Cass onto the rear end of Tim Palm, who's seemingly a bit, struggling a little bit at the moment. Falcon as well is going to try and take as much opportunity from these guys. Clarkey, who got damage, is dropping off quite a lot at the moment, and I think he's facing Davidoff as well. But we'll keep an eye on that battle between Alex, Ollie and Curly.
Absolutely right, as they go up the hill now then towards Remus. Curly Whirly with, again, a little bit too far back to challenge as me. Time now, Cass all over the backside of Tim Palm. Thought about it maybe, but hung back for now as he's now got the DRS on Tim Palm. Surely this is possibly his best chance to try and get the place of Chicken, as he's formerly known, as you've mentioned a few times, as we're on the penultimate lap of the race, down to the right hand there, but just doesn't go for the dive. Only have possibly one more lap to get hold of Tim Palm in this race. Same with Curly Whirly on Alex, as he's now starting to fall back a bit from Ollie D.
Yeah, it looks like Alex is not going to be able to catch on to Ollie, so it's looking like Curly's going to try and make this a podium, if anything, to try and get these Mercedes boys some important constructors points as the synthetics out of it. And Alex is looking like he's going to drop a few places through penalties. Super Scrub picked up a penalty, but Curly, well, he's on a fantastic line through the final corner. He's going to have DRS. Alex will also have it, but Slipstream is going to be very, very powerful. Will he go for the manoeuvre into turn 1? He's eyeing it up a little bit. He's going to think better of it and backs out now. He's going to have to get this line through turn 1. Perfectly there from Curly Whirly. He's going to have just Slipstream available to him, left or right. You've got to make your decision, Curly. Is he going to go for a dive bomb? Alex
it's
is
the final lap. You've got to make it
count. He's got to go the long way round. Final lap, round the outside. Can he get it done? Alex is going to come a little bit of contact. Ollie's lost the rear end ahead. Ollie lost the rear end. Now he's opening it up for Alex. Alex can have DRS available to him along with Slipstream. Now Ollie going defensive. Ollie knows he's made a mistake. Alex going to go around the outside maybe. Brakes later. Round the outside goes Alex. He locks up. Needs to avoid the puncture. Ollie defends against it. And Ollie's got a puncture. Ollie has a puncture. Oh, dearie me. He's pushed the tyres too long.
That is exactly what Synthetic needed.
And he... Synthetic will be in dreamland now. Ollie may well have just literally blown his tyre up, but blown his championship wide open. He's all over the rear end. But Michael, he's going to come through the final few corners. Chaos on the last lap. He is going to win the Austrian Grand Prix. Congratulations to him. But Ollie is dropping places at a rate of knots. And Ollie's spun. Ollie's round. And keep an eye on Synthetic.
And he's out.
Now.
He's out.
He won't know what's happened. Ollie's called it a day. Oh my word. Ollie has retired, and Synthetic will move up to 10th position. He's going to come round now. He's going to see Ollie in bits. This isn't the way he'll want to win it. There he goes. He sees Ollie into the wall, and Ollie has not only lost a potential podium, but he has lost the championship, full stop there. That might have been the final nail in the coffin. Synthetic will come home in what might be his best 10th position in his career. Ollie's down in 12th, a last lap puncture. He pushed it too long, and that is that. What a horrendous moment there for the Mercedes boys and the British fans supporting Ollie. The Germans here in Austria will be absolutely over the moon. But after all of that, Michael wins the Austrian Grand Prix, and I feel like that's not going to be the headline leaving us here at Austria though.
It won't be, definitely. What a dramatic final lap that was indeed. And, well, when we thought Ollie had possibly the best opportunity to cut the gap between himself and Synthetic, it's ended up with a puncture. I think it's definitely clear that Ollie D had pushed his tyres a little bit too much as the top three shake the champagne. Another deserved victory for Michael. He seems to be on a roll in terms of victories. He got a victory for Toro Rosso last week, and now he's got one for Red Bull. A very brilliant victory for Michael, and it's such a shame that he can't do it full time next season, as he's mentioned, because he's very busy. But there you have it then. After all of that, here's the results of an insane Austrian Grand Prix, especially on the last lap. Michael won the race, Curly Whirly second, Alex third, Clarky fourth, Tim Palm fifth, Falcon sixth, Cass seventh, Davidos eighth, Nardi ninth. Synthetic gets the 1 point, means the gap is now up to 35 points in the Drivers' Championship, past the 11th, Ollie D 12th, I Super Scrub 13th in the end. Ollie D was classified in 12th in the end, and as a result of that, the Force India of forgot what his name was now. You'll probably have to remind me who he is, Ollie. That's the one. Gemzo and Kian were the retirements in this race. But my, oh my, what a dramatic final lap.
Yeah, you're not going to get much more drama than that. That was... I'm sweating. I feel so bad for Ollie, because it was almost like he deserved the race victory when he got there, but he just didn't have the pace. And he made them tyres last as long as possible, but it's just a disaster class, really, from him. But the German fans who come out in force at Austria, obviously a neighbouring country on the European borders, honestly, I'm a little bit shell-shocked. I think there'll be a few pray for Ollie hashtags flying about. That might just be... We've had some important championship moments, but I think that might have just been the final nail in the coffin for Ollie and his championship hopes.
It'll be very interesting to see if he actually joins us in this interview to see what it was like after that had happened. But yeah, what an insane race as we just wait now for the interviewees to come in. We've so far just been joined by Michael and Curly Willy. We hope to get Alex in as well, and maybe Ollie D and Synthetic if that's going to be the plan. But while that happens, let me see if I can try and get Alex in as well. If he's... Oh, he's just joined now. Okay, so might as well add these guys in while we're here, of course. So, yeah, so I'm guessing Ollie D won't join us. I wouldn't be surprised anyway, because I wouldn't be surprised of how frustrated he was after that puncture. And Synthetic actually joins us as well. So... while we see if Ollie D will actually join us, let's start off with the interviews then. Starting off with Michael. Michael, another great race from you, 2 in a row. You seem to be on a roll at the moment.
And I think more happy than last week because I should have new pedals, which I don't really like. And yeah, I only had about 3 or 4 days of practice with these, and it's the first actual good result, not even a win, I get with these. So yeah, over the moon with this win.
And the fact that you've actually beaten Ollie D, who's the previous champion, of course, and pretty much ran away with it. Do you feel ashamed that you can't do the full season? Because if you did, you probably could have had a shot at the title.
I mean, I want to have some fun, and I want to see... all I want to see is my pace compared to other people who use the same assist. Because as I said on last week, I don't get the chance to do that on other leagues. But obviously, yeah, I would give it a shot for a title if I could next season. And maybe I'll try to do the whole season for the next game. But I'll definitely be up for that, other than, you know, getting a couple of wins here and there. Nobody will remember that.
Ollie, do you have any questions for Michael?
No.
Okay. So we'll move on to Curly Whirly then. So, Curly, a brilliant race from you, second place, overcoming that last lap battle between you, Ollie D, and Alex. Talk us through that battle towards the end from your perspective.
All I'll say is that Codemasters need to fix their game for 2018. that's really all that needs to be said. I mean, yeah, you know, Alex and Ollie drove really well. Alex pulled off a great strategy with the undercut, but there was no slipstream ever since somebody left fairly early on. So it didn't matter how close you got to the car in front. There wasn't any possible way to pass really. I did have one go in the final lap, but Alex kind of shut the door there, and yeah, and then obviously, you know, with Ollie and the puncture on the final lap was some awful luck. But yeah, I'm to be honest, you know, P2 it's a good result, but I'm really disappointed with that.
you mentioned that as well. Do you have sympathy for Ollie D as a result then, considering that that's more points for Mercedes now down the toilet in terms of your Constructors' Championship?
Yeah, and as well for his championship, today was a great opportunity for him to get a lot of points on synthetic, and obviously for him that's not happened, and yeah, I mean at least I guess we gain a little bit in the constructors from that, but it should have been a lot of points, and to be honest with you and Ollie, we've had some awful luck this season, so yeah, it's a long way to Williams in front. Maybe in the final rounds go really well for us, we'll be able to pull it in, but it's definitely an uphill battle.
Ollie, do you have any questions for Curly?
Yeah, I will say so. I mean, often in times, and this might sound harsh to you, but you're almost overlooked because of Ollie being a champion and him being the man who's seen as one of the quickest in the thing. Do you feel like you're kind of like showing yourself and you're getting your name out there a little bit more? I know obviously coordinate and stuff are well known in AOR, but you're starting to show that you have some pace as well.
I mean, I feel like, coming into this season, to be honest, I thought I was going to be, I thought I would be lucky to end up top 10 in the championship, but I think the pace has really been there since pretty much China, but it's really just the way the cards have fallen. My best tracks have been races that I've either had bad luck or thrown away. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, here today I'm pretty disappointed to not win it. I got this in next lap invalidated in qualifying what would have been pole, so that wasn't great. And then yeah, just there being no slipstream in the race it was impossible to pass. And I think that caused a number of incidents as well, because drivers were getting kind of desperate to get past others. There's a couple incidents in front of me that I gained some places from, where people were just sort of throwing it up the inside, because there's, unless you really go for it and dive bomb, there's no other way to pass with no slipstream. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of mixed race. I think I had great pace, and maybe if it'd been possible to pass, then I could have challenged Michael, but I maybe should have copied Alex and gone for that undercut, and that might have worked out better. But yeah, just got to hope in the final few races of the season that I can finally pick up a win.
Okay, thank you for that, Curly. We'll move on to Alex. Brilliant race from you, Alex. A very good strategic call in the end. Was you surprised to be in the position that you were at the end after your pit stop?
Yeah, a little bit. I thought the tires would go off a bit quicker. And the first stint, I had good pace in practice, but in the first stint, I just wasn't in the rhythm. I did a lot of mistakes, and yeah, I saw there was quite a train in front of me, and I knew that the degradation of the Ultra is high, so I just thought, yeah, why not? And I had them 2 laps with completely free air, and it's somewhat got me into a good rhythm, into a good zone. Like, I wasn't pushing too hard, but like just enough to make the tires last. And then suddenly I see in front of me Michael and Ollie coming out, and Ollie then struggled himself on the tires quite a bit. He had a lot of offs, and it just allowed me to stay in his DRS. And then from the rest of the race, it was just to be on a like to bite into his rear and just try to not lose that DRS. But yeah, it was quite surprising. Obviously, then I knew Curly pitted a lot late. I think 4 or 5 laps. I knew he had a lot of fresher tires, and it was really difficult to hold him up. But suddenly, obviously, turn 2, Ollie lost the rear, and I thought maybe to overtake him, and then suddenly I see a puncture, which is a bit weird, considering he pitted quite a bit later. But yeah, very surprising. I didn't thought that the pace on the softs would have been so consistent, but I was really managing the rears, was going all the time to standard or lean in the corners or the traction zone. So yeah, very happy. I mean, obviously I rate this race even higher than the win in Belgium. It's just like the performance in the bone dry race was, for the first time this season, I was able to bring it on the track.
So, obviously, I'm going to get to the bit about Ollie D, because obviously he had the puncher right in front of you and Curly, of course. What were your emotions like when you saw the puncher happen to Ollie? Was you celebrating for the fact that Williams now has a chance to increase the lead in the Constructors, or was it just a little bit of sympathy for Ollie D in that situation?
Yeah, there's no room in sympathy for racing, really. So I was obviously very delighted to see having the puncture. I was just, to be honest, it was more surprised, just because he pitted later than me. I was just about over 70% on the last lap, and he had quite a lot of problems, especially in the last sector. He ran really wide quite often, and also in turn 2. And that only allowed me to DRS, or maybe he just chewed up the start. Obviously, this is very important for synthetic. I mean, I saw that he, I think, lost his front wing on the first lap. And yeah, first thing I thought is, yeah, I mean, that he keeps a healthy championship lead, and we have no issues in the constructors. But yeah, in the last 2 corners, I had no grip. I just slided through them myself, so yeah, it was also about just keeping the car on the track and bringing it home. A bit disappointed with the time penalty, but as said in the beginning, I got all those warnings. I had no rhythm. But yeah, still very good result for the Constructors' Championship, for the Drivers' Championship, consolidating P3. And hopefully I can bring that 3rd place in the Drivers home.
Ollie, do you have any questions for Alex?
No, I think everything's been covered.
Okay. We'll now move on then to our guest in here. That will be Synthetic. So Synthetic, obviously 2 elephants in the room to discuss. We'll start off with the first one. Obviously you ran into issues at the start of the race. So basically, what on earth happened, and why did you end up making 2 stops in the early stages?
Good question. I got unfortunately brake checked into the last corner, and there was no way I could have evaded. I think it wasn't on purpose, but it was just a really unlucky situation. I couldn't go to the left because, yeah, the corner ends at this point. So I lost part of my wing, a major part of my wing, and I thought the pit crew might be intelligent enough to fix it. I was wrong at that point, so I had to make another pit stop, which is really unfortunate. I think the pace was there to get a good result because I had quite a solid setup, and yeah, the speed was quite fine. But yeah, first of all, congratulations to Curly and to Alex. I didn't really know what happened to Ollie. I think he had a puncture or something like that, which is really unfortunate. And yeah.
That was the second elephant in the room I wanted to discuss about. When you saw that Ollie had actually crashed out due to the puncture that he had, what were you thinking in your head at that point? Was you thinking relief that he won't be able to gain the championship, or sympathy for Ollie D in that situation?
The biggest joke about this is that I got a point from it. Otherwise, I would have finished in P11. But to be honest, not too happy because my qualifying wasn't great, and I think more damage I did there. So I didn't really deserve to gain points on him, and he deserved a better result, to be honest. But yeah, it's insane how much unluck he had. Last season I had a lot of unluck, and it seems that he just, like Valtteri Bottas, can't get a break at the moment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few races, and yeah.
So basically, you're saying that you basically swapped helmets with each other, essentially. All right. Ollie, do you have any questions for Synthetic?
I will ask about the championship. I mean, at the very first race when I was here with Liam, I asked you when you won, do you think you can win it? And you said, it's a long process, and you won't start to look until the end of the season. Now, obviously, the massive swings and roundabouts have happened, on the last lap. And obviously Ollie's not making the final Grand Prix. Do you now think that this is your time to be a big champion?
It would be great, but I'm not quite sure at the moment because you can see that slight mistakes can cause a lot of damage. Today, Ollie would gain so much time on this race, and it can happen at any point. Maybe next race I'm kind of an issue again, and suddenly the gap is just down to 10 points in the race after that. So it's still quite a long way to go. I'm I'm in a good position, but I don't think I'm. Yeah, it will be easy to win, especially because Ollie is really good in qualifying, and somehow I am able to bottle every car. So I think it's still a way to go, but it looks good at the moment.
Well, with 3 races for Ollie's, from Ollie's end, of course, anything is still possible. Thank you to everybody who's been into it. I don't think Ollie D did show up, did he, overall?
No,
Okay, so with that then, that brings the end to today's race here for AOR here at Austria. Thank you to Synthetic, Alex, Curly Whirly and Michael for joining us today. And that brings the end to this live stream. Thank you to everybody who's been watching here at Austria. AOR is now going to be taking a week break due to the fact that the majority of people who take part in AOR, along with coordinators behind the scenes, are actually going to be going to Silverstone next week. One of them including Oliver OTG over here. He'll be going on the Sunday. So AOR will be taking a week break next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks' time for the Malaysian Grand Prix at Kuala Lumpur, and specifically the final Malaysian Grand Prix for AOR in the F1 side of things. I don't know if Ollie was talking at that point, but a little bit of an awkward pause there, but I will end this live stream here unless Ollie has any final words on that.
Well, I will say openly now, commiserations to Ollie, and congratulations, to Michael, and also to the Williams boys of Alex and Synthetic on not taking the opportunity from some misery today.
I'll agree with you on that as well. But until then, guys, that has been it. Thank you for watching. I've been Joseph Willows, he's been OTG, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix for AOR F1. Till then, take care.